Hello and welcome, ladies and gents, back to the channel. We have got the Asia RMR just around the corner, and there's no better time to have a little discussion. I'm going to be joined by Trav for today. We're going to discuss all the teams, the most two recent changes as well coming in, and then our predictions. And we'll get into a little bit of fantasy as well at the tail end. But Trav, brother, how are you doing?
I'm good, and I'm very much looking forward to the Asia RMR, because usually it has a lot of drama, a lot of wackiness, just like we have come to expect from these over the years. And now we know who's going through in EU. It's time to figure out the other regions. And usually, I think this is probably going to be one of the most competitive Asia RMRs. I think there are at least four or five teams that could easily take those two slots.
Am I right in saying it's the first time it's been 8 teams as well in like a while, right?
I'm not sure, but I think it's a big one.
Because they complained after Paris. I want to say. Either way, let's get into the action. Let's get in towards the RMR itself. So take a look over here at how the bracket is. Of course, it starts tomorrow at the time of release. It's, you know, timing wise, pretty brutal. I think it goes without saying. 2 a.m. is the first game. 5 a.m. is the last game of the first round, and then it goes into a few more. It's pretty rough. I don't think many people are going to catch those games. It goes without saying. But these are teams competing. We've got the Mongols, Linvision, Tyloo, Greyhound, GG How, and then Atox. They were the guys that are already confirmed. However, there has been a change. Now, we'll show them here in a little bit more detail. Twisted Minds replaced 15 average at the Asia RMR. Now, they failed to supply a lineup is kind of what's put here. 15 average team. The understanding is that, if I'm right in saying, is Quail is stuck at the border, right, Travis? Is that what we know?
Yes, I believe that's the case. And there are sort of multiple tweets saying, like, you know, like, 4 of us are here. Like, why didn't we get more notice? Stuff like that, you know? So, like, well, I'm not sure exactly on the deep details. Obviously, it'll be the players and the team who would know more than me. But from the tweets I've seen, it's unfortunately down to the fact that Quell, couldn't make it, sadly. Got stuck at the border, which is very unfortunate for him.
Looked like a decent team as well. All the way through the upper bracket. Like, you know, qualified with ease. Didn't even drop into lowers. Didn't drop a game. And only dropped 1 map to Onyx Ravens. Not actually a bad performance by any means from them. But they're going to be faced by Twisted Minds. Most notably, Doc, I think, is probably the big guy of that team. He's going to be the main remaining guy in that roster. But there's also a couple of the names that you probably know of. Spawn's been around for quite a while. Deos as well, the old French guy. Played on quite a few teams back in the day. So yeah, they're actually a pretty decent team. So I think, you know, replacement-wise, it's not the worst. We do actually have one more as well of, who is it? So Mag are replacing Troublemakers. Troublemakers couldn't get a visa is what we sort of know, basically. Yeah,
what we know, but let's just say that they are troublemakers. Let's just say that.
That's the assumption. That is most definitely the assumption. There was a lot of tweets talking about this team. So I think it's probably for the best anyway that it's Mag taking their place. Yeah. But I think all things considered, they're actually pretty decent replacements coming through. Basically, the entirety of this Mag team have all been regular parts of ECL in a variety of different ways. Arakul and Tugu played together for a long time. I've cast those guys a bunch of times. Wasted Armor, one of the best names, I think, in the Asian scene. Pretty damn good. Land's been around for ages, playing alongside basically some of the biggest names in this region with Wings Up. He was actually part of that roster when I was there for Melbourne that beat Complexity.
Challenger Melbourne,
yeah. For me, at the time, I think bar Endpoint beating Na'Vi was the biggest upset of that year because Wings Up were they weren't even in ECL at the time. That's how much of an upset that was. So this is actually a cool team. I'm glad these guys get to play online, on land, may I say. But why don't we start with the where we're going to predict for how this is all going to play out, essentially. I reckon we go one by one. So we'll start Mongols Mag. How are you feeling there?
Yeah, I think Mongols, obviously, I think if they don't take one of these 2 slots, that Mongols are sort of a mainstay of majors at this point now. If they don't take one of these 2 slots, it'll be a massive surprise and disappointment. I like Mag, as you say. I mean, Lan is also a player. I think, as I said to you, I think before we went live, I casted a Lan ace, I think, in ECL once, which was an absolutely wild performance. Yep. I still remember that because it was how crazy that clip was in Challenger League. But yeah, I think Mongols, without a doubt, should have the better of Mag here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be close. I think this one's probably going to be the same as well. The Atox side are actually not too bad. These guys have actually been around the scene for quite a while in ECL, but this new look Greyhound look really good. You know, Dex is coming into call and he's been putting up insane performances, but I think the biggest thing for me is it's freed up Inns. Inns is now back into hero roles. I'm really, really excited for Greyhound. You know, you can't see the green screen, but I've got a Greyhound jersey up on the wall because I think, what was it? It was, I want to say last major, maybe. No, major before that, it was Rio. I jokingly said if Greyhound beat Cloud9, I'll buy a Greyhound jersey, and they did. And I woke up in the morning to like 100 notifications of like all the Aussie guys be like, do it. So fair fucks. Like I've always backed them since then. They should find Linvision and Twisted Minds actually quite have a cool game because they actually play relatively similar styles of Counter-Strike. They're both just so aggressive.
Yeah, I was really fascinated by this game. Obviously, I think the main players that you should know if you watch Twisted Minds or have seen their RMR games in the past is obviously they play with Doc. He's was one of the most highly touted Dutch players for a very, very long time. He was king of Face It, always was one of the big streamers. Unfortunately, he's never really put the talent that he has to use on a big team.
Yeah,
it's really only the time we see him in big tournaments is in the RMRs with this Twisted Minds roster. It's going to be interesting. They've got Deus, as you say. They've got Matty, who is a Polish player. Used to play on like those Polish mixed teams, like Ungentium, I think is the one he was on for a very long time. I remember casting him a few times. So yeah, they've got names, but Linvision arguably are at this point, and I'm sure we'll get onto it, better than Tai Lu. So I think they take this one easily for sure. It's a BO1 though. Again, have to reiterate that.
The only thing that really worries me about Linvision is they are the biggest chokers I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like I've not seen a team as consistent as Linvision in choking lands. I want to see whether you can kind of see like some of these second place. They do not make lands. They're always one step away. It always happens. Even open qual here. Where was it? Like, I saw, 5th to 8th. I don't know what happens with this team, but when it comes to a position where they make land, they can't do it. And it's a real problem, and I'm yet to see evidence of it changing.
It's weird, isn't it, as well? Because it's not like you can accuse them of being land dodgers, because they have qualified for big events. They do obviously want to make the big events. They're going to be in Pro League. They won, as you saw on that list you opened just then, they won that Chengdu qualifier against Tai Lu in Shanghai on LAN. So as the fact, I believe, is it the same location? Is it the exact same arena in Shanghai that we're playing the RMR? Is it the Perfect World Arena they're holding it in? I believe it is. I might be mistaken. But yeah, if they're comfortable in this location and comfortable in this arena that we've already seen them to qualify for Chengdu, that bodes well at least that they won't choke this one.
It's one of those things, they always make it to the LAN, but they never go as far as they should. They should always be a team that is basically alongside the likes of Greyhounds and Mongols. But I don't know what it is. This team, it annoys me because I love the team. Like, I think, when you look at the individuals, while his rating doesn't say a lot, Starry is such a talent, man. This guy is so good. Westman has his moments as well. And the way in which you have basically the ability for them to have a fragging IGL, I think it is such a big thing for me. And then final game, Tai Lu, GG Hao. Actually, quite a cool game here. For GG Hao, there's probably quite a few names that basically you'll recognize more or less most of them for those of you at home. Issa's been around for ages. Elian, the old Entropic guy, the guy who at one point was touted the best AWPer, the best up-and-coming Tier 2 AWPer alongside individuals like, it was like, Wonderful was on the come up at the time. I think it's even maybe pre-Wonderful, to be honest. That was like 2020.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But the second he steps into Tier 1, he completely bottled it. So, and Davkos as well. Davkos has been around for, yonks. Since 1.6, I'm pretty sure he's been around. Yeah. So, yeah, this team is full of, stacked names. So this GG Hallett's roster are no joke either.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how they do because, as you say, Elian is sadly... I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. He is washed. Like that is the situation we find ourselves in. Like it's very sad because you're absolutely right about how he was touted in the past.
Yeah.
But now, like the only way he can get on a team that makes progress in majors these days is through Leasia RMR and a mixed team, right? So it is sad. I always liked him. So Elian, if you watch this. I'm sorry for saying you're washed, but I do actually quite like you. But yeah, I like Issa. Obviously, as well, he was on big teams back in the day. Obviously, OG and Hellraisers are the two probably big names that they remind him from. And Davkos, obviously, I think Flipside was one of the big ones as well for him. And of course, he had multiple instances on Russian mixed teams in Tier 2. So, yeah, it's a weird team, but Tai Lu, they should take it. Problem is, the Tai Lu that we see currently now, it is a shaky version of Tai Lu.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you love him or hate him. He's a bit of a kind of a meme in a sense, but Advent is, mechanically one of the well, no, mechanically is the weakest player here. I don't actually think there's an argument to be made there. I think someone told me this stuff. Someone showed me it, but I'm pretty sure he's like the 4th or 5th lowest rated LAN player of all time. This is, the stats don't lie. This guy really does struggle, but they love him, right? Obviously, his ability to kind of find and nurture talent is so good to see. The thing that really does confuse me the most about Tyloo is
taking Orman.
Orman's an IGL. So why have you got Advent in this team still, who is woefully under par? Like, this is a Tyloo side who are actually winning games, and he's still averaging a 0.87 over the span of the last 3 months. I don't understand why you'd bring in an IGL, make him play support roles, and then not have him IGL when they had talent before. And I forget off the top of my head now, the guy that they had before, he got benched. Wait, was it Mosaic? Yeah, it was Mosaic, right? Who came in?
He's the sub right now. So
yeah, he's 6th man, basically. So when I casted them, here you go. Yeah, so I casted them just when Alman entered into the roster, and they played Mosaic 1 map and like Alman 2 of the maps. It was such a weird like situation. But then Mosaic came in and farmed. So like Alman played map 1, they lost, and he played bad. Mosaic came in map 2, they won, he played sick, and then map 3 they brought in Alman and then lost. And I was like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
This
I remember when I saw it though. I remember when I saw it announced, like, or I saw it at least change on HLTV, because I'm not even sure if it was publicly announced, to be honest. I didn't see it. Yeah, that was one of the most confusing things for me, seeing Alman signed and not in place of Advent. Like, Mosaic is a talent. He's obviously still very young.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw something. Maybe Advent was like, listen, this team is... I'm leading a very young team here. I want more experience, and I want maybe a second voice. It's a weird one, but doing weird things maybe is the Tyloo way, and it has been for a while. So, yeah, I mean, it's just definitely a strange call, but Orman's not been playing too badly at all individually, so
he's actually all right.
He's actually genuinely decent, so I'm really very curious to see how they do. I think if we're going to talk about the 2 slots, the upper bracket slot and the lower bracket slot, I think it's going to be quite hard for them. I think they're actually maybe even 3rd or 4th favorite, Tyloo, in this event.
Yeah, so if I'm saying who goes through where across here, I honestly think Greyhound go through first.
Okay.
I think it's so top-tier than Mongols, and it's actually crazy to me that they play in the upper semis. I know obviously that's just kind of how it works because of like seeding, I think it is. But yeah, there you go, because of seeding. But like the fact that basically, in my opinion, the 2 best teams are playing in this first upper semis is kind of nuts. But I actually...
be a 1.
Yeah, exactly. I really rate Greyhound. At the moment, I've watched a lot of what they play. You have to really take these as with a bit of a grain of salt, because they're playing
farming Oceania.
Domestic. Yeah. So these ratings don't mean a lot. But Greyhound always do impress, and they more often than not make it through as well. This side actually look really good. The Mongols do look good, but we spoke about it a lot when it was happening recently on LAN. Dude, Mazzinho, man, who's meant to be one of the most important players on this team, getting 1 kill a game. Not, it goes without saying that he does not look comfortable on LAN in the slightest. Like, not even like, it's not that he occasionally doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look comfortable at all.
Yeah, the thing that's, I think, really tough for Mazzinho is, one, the kid's 16. Obviously, maybe it's not as big of a deal these days when you see what Donk is doing. But, like, realistically, everyone's different. He looks very, very nervous in every single position he's put in. He's also, at least from what I've seen in the games I've watched Mongols recently, in very difficult, hard anchor roles where he actually does a really good job of getting 1. I think for Mongols' sake, I think they'll qualify still. But for the sake of Mazzinho's own performance and own mental even, I think they need to put a more experienced player in some of those tougher positions.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually where you can make arguments about kind of somebody else going in there. Maybe not like a 9-10. And maybe not a Techno, because I don't think you want to limit him maybe. But maybe someone like a
9-10's the AWPer, so...
Exactly. You're not putting an AWPer in the anchor. But like a Senzu, I could see going in there. I don't think you want to put Blitz there either. I think Blitz needs to free roam a little bit. But yeah, man, he does struggle. We'll have to see. Either way, who's going first for you? Who's going second?
Well, Greyhound I think is a good call. The only thing I'd say as a caveat to Greyhound, as we mentioned it, they are farming every single team in Australia. Are they ready? Are they prepared for
Yeah.
the next level? Because sometimes you can be lulled into sort of a false sense of security where you play these teams thinking, "Oh yeah, we're the shit right now." Thankfully, I'm sure you do as well. For this level of competition, I absolutely trust in Dexter.
Yeah,
I think they'll
yeah.
be fine. I think they'll make it through. Atox is actually quite a hard team in an opening BO1, I will say. One thing I've got
It's
to
not a
mention about
joke,
Atox is
yeah.
they've got Cabal and Dobu, very experienced Mongolian professionals who've been around the block a long time.
Years,
That
yeah.
could easily be an upset team. Atox are the 5th team in the RMR for me. They can be an upset factor for the top 4 that we think are the favorites for those 2 slots. But yeah, for the 1 slot for qualification, the upper bracket qualification, I will take Greyhound.
Do you know, I kind of like want to go a little bit rogue here and say Tyloo just don't win a game. Part of me wants to say that. Because I actually unironically think GG Hound, a best of 1, can take them. Like,
It'll be a 1 for sure, yes.
Yeah. I mean, maybe in best of 3s in like a lower bracket, then they probably play against like Twisted Minds, I guess. And that probably can beat them. But honestly, this Tyloo side really do perplex me at times. I think Lim Vision have a good shot. I think Lim Vision can make it deep. I generally think there's a world in which we could talk about Lim Vision. I mean, even Lim Vision making it all the way here, right? Against, like, for example, maybe if you want to play favorites, to say Mongols make it all the way through the top bracket, and then Lin Vision make it through this lower side of the bracket, and then they would play against the likes of probably a Greyhound at the bottom here, the consolidation, the final qual. I would probably say Mongols and Greyhound are my 2 to go through. I don't know whether I want to say Mongols first, but I think I am. I think I'm going to lock in Mongols first, Greyhound 2 is mine.
Yeah.
And then Lin Vision, like, 3rd place.
That's a tough call. I think purely because you say like sometimes Envision can feel the nerves a bit. I will also take Mongols as the second team to go through as well. The thing is, like, for me, there's still a part, like an old romantic part of me that like always thinks Tyloo are going to make the majors. They're always going to get their special sticker that goes up in price and everyone loves, but they haven't been involved in a major since, I believe, the Stockholm Challengers stage, I think it was.
They've been pretty woeful for a while.
And they picked up the old Rare Atom team solely to make majors. That was the goal. They wanted to get back at majors, and they haven't made one since then. So, yeah, it really needs to happen for them. And unfortunately, I think this move to pick up Ullman, while he may be fragging well, at least in ECL, I'm not sure in a qualifier with the likes of a Mongols, with the likes of a Lin Vision, who have shown they can beat them consistently.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be enough for them. So I agree. I'm going to take Mongols as my second team to go through.
Final thing we can do is take a look through some fancy. I'll show yours first. You got yours here.
Yes.
You've gone for Vexite, Techno, MIQ or Mick, Jam Young, and Zaka. Talk us through just briefly why you gone for these guys.
So, very briefly, I play fantasy a little bit. I dabble, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily give it a whole lot of thought, but when I do try it, I do try at least a little bit to make it make sense. But like for this team, my method usually for doing fantasy is I like to get at least coverage for at least like one or every one of the good teams, right?
Yes, sure.
So to afford that, I had to take a lower ranked player. I wanted to get Dobu or Cabal. I took MIQ. Reason for that is I checked his Faceit. He's been farming, and I saw him play in ECL, and he looked kind of good. I don't think he'll do it on LAN.
Like it.
I don't think he'll do it on LAN, but I'm willing to give it a go. Vexite always performs well, I think, at Asia RMRs, at least not from what I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Techno's a bit of a legend. Zaka is like second, maybe third, best player arguably on Lin Vision. He always like frags relatively okay. And I think Jam Young goes without saying. He's an animal. He's an animal. I love him. There's a reason there's one of the most famous HLTV users is something called like Jam Young Enjoyer or something, something like that. Exactly. He's a bit of a legend. But yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Okay, I'm gonna pick mine now. And do you know what? One of the most interesting things when I had a little scroll through this, one of the most interesting things, you only have 2 players to pick from in the golds, which I think is kind of insane. I actually am gonna go for one of them. I'm gonna go for Blitz here. Because
he is a goat.
Blitz is so damn good, man. He's such a joy. I also think you actually get quite a decent bit of room to work with in terms of picking good players. And alongside him, I'm going to go Inns. So these 2 for me felt like if I can get both of them in a team, they're a lock. I'm actually even tempted to be more preferable towards Inns over Blitz here just because of how much I like them. But I think your strategy is quite good in terms of do you get coverage across all these good teams? See, the fact that he's
RMR,
so cheap,
RMR A in EU, I was really good. I got like top 15%. RMR B did not go as well. I was like top 45. So
okay, Doc is actually kind of crazy. Doc is 200k for like the lowest ranked team here, who arguably have kind of the hardest run.
As you can see there, like I really wanted one of Dobber and Cabal because they're the like experienced heads of ATOX, and I think they're from the games I've watched of them in ECL, they do prioritize their rifle numbers a lot. Like accuracy is a very anchory, like defensive, will show up when needed type AWPer, not all the time. So yeah, I don't know. It is tough. As you say, if you've gone for two big boys, you're gonna need one.
I'm gonna need one of
player.
them. Yeah. So I'm trying to think now. How do I go about it? Because the temptation is I could go for something like a Mick just because he's the cheapest on actually one of the better teams, or I could dabble into here. See, I've casted Araku a bunch of times, and he wasn't terrible when I casted him. So the fact that he's so cheap is kind of wild. I want to see statistically what LAN looks like, because LAN, that Wings Up roster was okay. The only problem is, realistically, when you look at Mag's run coming through, lose the Mongols. If that goes bad, they play against one of Atox or Greyhound.
Exactly.
Like, realistically, that team should just go rock bottom, which makes things rough. But at least, for example, like a Tai Lu should get a win, even if they were to lose, or a GG How. I think basically both of them should beat Twisted Mind. So if I was going to pick, I wouldn't pick anyone from Twisted Mind. I'd potentially pick somebody from GG How. I don't think you want to go for Vital, right? Rating's okay, but I don't think it's worth it. Dav cost for the meme would be kind of funny, but I don't think he's going to put numbers up.
I know.
So
I wanted to pick Davkos purely because of the experience, and like the problem is I'm surely not going crazy here. Davkos used to AWP a lot, right?
He did, but this is years ago we're talking.
But this is years ago, so he won't AWP on this team because they've got Elian, right? So yeah. That's why I wanted to pick Davkos purely for that. But then I remembered they had Elian, and I was like, yeah, probably not. So yeah.
Okay, let me go with LAN. Oh, actually, no, wait.
I like it though. I don't mind that.
No, but the reason I don't like it is actually because that team have like no chance of getting a win.
Okay.
In my opinion. Okay. That's so like I think like while individually he might be okay, they don't have a chance of getting a win, which I think is gonna really hurt their points. So maybe I join you on that. That gives me basically 400k or just shy of 400k to work with. So I could again now go for like a Senzu, for example.
You can double up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then I could go for LAN if I wanted to. Or probably actually more optly go for like a Davcast, who actually probably should get a win.
Yeah.
Or I could... see, Advent's trolling. I'm not going Advent. I refuse to pick him. I'm not picking a guy who's
said to me beforehand,
you've
been trolling your friends for picking Advent. No way you're picking Advent
I'm not picking Advent. I can't do it. I think this team's actually pretty good already on paper. Like, the Mongols should farm. It's so annoying. How much do I have? I have 183. Oh, he is not. I was gonna say, is there any chance I could get one of the good guys, like a cheaper good guy, somewhere up here? But 195 of Amelia is like the second best option, and
and you're not gonna go for Mzinho, sadly.
Fuck that.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Worst roles possible as a 16-year-old. Not want that to be me.
I unironically want to go Davcost here. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for old time's sake. I'm doing Davcost. Now we've got to do rolls, and then we're done.
Yeah, my rolls are a little bit guessy. I always not great with them.
I want to give him just like hard fragging rolls, basically.
Exactly, that's what I would do too.
I was thinking the multi-frag one. He's only got 33%. Maybe attacker then seems alright. Yeah.
See, like your strategy is like my strategy with fantasy. Like nearly all the time I've done it in the past has always been like a middle ground group of players who I know can play well,
right,
and at least like get me a certain number of points.
Okay.
My method has very rarely ever been pick the big boy. For example, Donk, right? Lots of people pick Donk in the It didn't really work out for them because he was so expensive.
Yes,
he didn't play as well as he did in other tournaments. So yeah, I mean the thing is though, it's quite forgiving, this fantasy.
It is.
So I think you picking Blitz and Senzu is kind of a smart play, to be honest. And Inns is obviously, I know you like him, but
I love Inns.
Like a personal bias thing, but at the same time you have reason to back it up. So I'm
trying to think what roles I give them now. That's the big thing, because that's 68% on big. That is crazy. Okay, 100%. Davcost 14%. okay. He does at least pick it up to a degree, but it's
He'll
not
be the
that.
secondary, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be the secondary. So
He'll pick up the ecos. Give him an eco fragger.
do I give him team match result? No, because that means if he loses, you're gonna get like a shit rating. Maybe I go eco friendly because
What did I do mine again? Can you switch to my tab?
Yeah,
to see
you
mine?
went headshot for Zaka, multi-fragger for Jamian, which I think is really good. Defender for MIQ, leader for Techno. That's such a smart one because they just win.
Yeah.
And then attacker for Vexite, the entry again.
Okay, I'm not being too crap. Like I looked at those when I did them, and I was like, oh my god, Travis, what are you doing? I can't. But now I've looked at it again after what you've said, and it makes sense. Yeah.
I'm trying to think now. Do I? No. Okay, I don't. I was gonna say, do I? Because he's got 58% of attacker, like T-side rating. But I might just drop him on multi-fragger. But then, no, I'll drop on Stat Hunter. And then it leaves MIQ as my last here. What do I want to give him?
I mean, ATOX aren't going to win much, so maybe give him like... What's the middle one again? The middle...
Camper or
Camper.
Entry Fragger? Nah. I don't think Defender's that bad. I think he'll... I don't really know that well, but I'm assuming he'll probably play a little bit more of those anchor roles. That feels mean to do. I did that actually for somebody in EUB. And it was for TMB. And it did actually get me some points in all fairness because it was bottom. I think I'm going to whack on Defender. I don't think it's a terrible thing. Just before I do that.
Can I check my previous results so I can... Okay, so RMR A, I had Hunter, Carrigan, Calyx, Flit, and Icy. It got me top 15%. Hunter got 88, Flit got 131, Icy got 62.
Okay, that's decent.
RMR B, top 44%. Shiro, 84. Shui, 76. Dupree, 30. Shush, 39. Yabby, minus 11.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
Fraud watch. Fraud watch.
Hate Max, fraud watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny. But that is what we're going to lock in for us. Ladies and gents, thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure. Let us know what you guys are doing for your fantasy and who you think's going to make it through. We've both gone for Greyhound and Mongols, but just in a different order, I think, is how we've gone for it. But they feel like, well, they're actually, they're not seeded wise or, ranking wise the favorites, but it feels like they are in terms of the, repertoire they hold on a major. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Go and check out Trav. All the links will be below and all the rest. Until next time, we'll see you soon.